I know. It's been a while, and I'm late to the party. But I still want to talk about the shows that mattered the most to me in 2014. I will only include the anime that came out in 2014, regardless if some ended there or haven't finished yet. Also, I will only include those anime I have finished. So some anime might not be on this list, even though they should deserve it, just because I didn't watch them. Now let's start. Winter Season 2014. Winter Season is usually a bad season. It is maybe even the worst season this year. And I can say that from all the titles that came out in winter 2014, none of them have been extraordinarily amazing. However, some shows were fair enough to deserve a spot on my list. I will include only 3. And on number 3 there is Saikin Imoto no Yoso ga Shoto Okashiga, or in English, lately my little sister has been acting a little strange. Yes, this is fetish nonsense. About incest. Not blood related, of course. But there's little competition. I finished only a few shows from winter season, and this one was the perfect guilty pleasure for me. Imocho, in short, is about a girl who becomes possessed by a perverted female ghost who wants to ascend to heaven by having sex with the girl's stepbrother. Now, isn't that a premise only Japan could come up with? I would say that anyone who has a taste should watch this. Unless, of course, you don't mind mindless edgy fanservice fetish nonsense. On number 2 there's Sekai Seifuku. A1 Pictures decides to go the convoluted, messy, fanservice heavy, half comedy, half plot route and animate Sekai Seifuku about a loli who wants to conquer the world, together with the help of a bunch of villain-esque comic relief characters. It's entirely comedy based and should not be taken seriously. It is however less heavy on the fanservice compared to Imocho, and the comedy transcends lewdness sometimes. While the occasional ecchi joke might be made, it has also action and other comedic elements, mostly just mocking the other characters involved in this. Also not really a recommendation, but still, it was kind of fun. And at number 1 we have Nurin, a self-aware parody of farm life and a lot of other things. I would say this is on the level of something like Korewa Somi desu ka, but less heavy on magic and action, and more so on random comedy. While I haven't seen it myself, Nichijou might be a candidate to compare it to. Yes, this is a comedy. Winter apparently only has room for light comedies and no plot-heavy extravaganza, even though it has some plot-centric shows airing, none of which I care too much about. Noren, however, was an exception when it comes to comedy compared to the other two. While it was also heavy on news and edgy, it sometimes even had somewhat deep messages about the state of the anime industry and other social issues, like GMO food and otaku culture. I thought it was hilarious and it gets the highest spot in winter 2014. Now this concludes winter 2014 and we go over to spring 2014. Out of the 7 titles I finished watching and didn't drop midway, only 2 stand out as good to me. So I'll make it brief and mention everything that I could bear to watch to the end but couldn't fulfill me. Unlike winter season, this season had at least 2 good shows. So I don't have to make a bad list filled with bad anime, just so I have lists in the first place. I mean, Noreen wasn't bad, but also nothing outstanding. Let's first talk about the worst show that I finished. Seikyun no Dragona was a really bland fantasy ecchi show with some butt-ugly dragons and the most stereotypical characters you'll find in the book. The most outstanding thing, besides outstanding nipples, you find in this trash anime is Rie Kugimiya voicing a loli tsundere. Yeah, as if that is some news worthy of reporting, you know. Continuing with train wrecks, which still managed to entertain me, we have Black Bullet, aka Shingeki no Kyojin with lolis. No really, it's basically the same show, but with shitty budget and lots of fucking lolis. The outro song is pretty good though. Brynhild no Darkness. Damn, I hate Elfen, like really fucking hate it. But I can't say the same about Brynhild, even though it is basically the same shit. It is bad, but I enjoyed it. Maybe it was the fanservice which pulled me through, or the censored gore which made it not so fucking disgusting to watch. But oh boy, if you want to see bad writing in action, this is the anime to go. Kanojo ga flag wo orerata. I messed that up, but ignore it, okay? It was really a huge surprise among the train wrecks. I mean, how do you even pull it off to make a cutesy, low on fanservice harem into a train wreck? Simple. Matrix. Yes, Matrix. This anime is Matrix the harem. It's actually pretty cool as the idea itself, but the execution is so bad and the way the writing handled the core idea made it so stupid. I still enjoyed it as a cutesy harem with lots and lots of girls. Like, I have no idea how I can stuff so many stereotypes into a harem. The only anime that stands out as not a train wreck but plain and simple wish fulfillment is No game, no life. Basically, the long-winded, slightly better clone of Problem Children come from another dimension, don't they? However, I didn't enjoy it too much. The OP-ness of the two main characters was boring to watch. Also, the games made no sense. There was no strategy involved and seemed to made up on the spot. For an anime that's supposed to be about games, it couldn't even make the games that have consistent rules and interesting solutions. No, just make something up and pretend the main characters are geniuses. It shows clearly the writer has no idea what he's doing. But once again, fanservice saved this anime for me to even worth mentioning it. And finally, the top 2 anime of the season. Also, small foreshadowing, these will come back later again. Cheika the Coffin Princess and Selecta Infected Weecross. Cheika has to be one of the more decent fantasy light novel adaptations with cute girls. The characters are fairly enjoyable, the world is interesting enough to give a damn, and the story was original and doesn't go towards the typical stereotype like, let's save the world, duh! No, actually, the main characters have the opposite goal, let's have a war. As saboteur as Toro and his not blood-related sister, oh, not blood-related, of course, Akari, meet Cheika, a girl who is so cute, she can only talk in cute grammar, aka
Toru, Akari, 感謝。大事なもの入手済み。仕事終了。
And together they seek the remains of the deceased evil wizard king who was waging war for 500 years in the world. Cheika features many side characters who have all similar goals but different ends and their line spectrums, and thus they clash from time to time, creating a conflict, which keeps the anime interesting to watch and leave room for character development. Weecross' first season was among the best anime that came out in recent years, especially considering this is an anime about card games. But instead of having the card game as the focus, it is more the psychology of the girls playing the game, which matters here. It also deals with serious issues like incest in a much more mature way than all the other anime out there, with one exception that would be Koikaze. A great anime, which has superb sound design, nice backgrounds, somewhat interesting characters, and sparkled my interest in the game, which I later bought while I was in Japan. It well deserves the #1 spot on my list of the season, and so far the #1 overall this year. Next episode, I will talk about the summer season and the fall season. Until then, see you again. Also, I'd like to mention that I finally reached 100 subscribers, and I'm really grateful for every one of you to be interested in what I have to say here. So yeah, hope you stick around and we have some more friends in the future. 彼女がフラッグを折れた。Oh, fuck. 彼女がフラッグを折れら、fucking Japanese. 彼女がフラッグを折れらたら。彼女がフラッグを折れたら、あららぎくん？
あらららぎさんは失礼噛みました。